Are you cooking it according to the directions, or are you just cutting?
If you look at this picture, they gotta be cut anyways, don't they?
Not like that! 1/2 inch thick wedges.
Okay. You got a ruler?
So we are going to be cooking today.
Chef Palmer's in the building.
Got our ingredients. We're going to be cooking our HelloFresh meal. Oh shoot.
You want to redo that?
No, I don't. So this is what it's supposed to look like. So we'll see how we do. So first, we'll start by getting something to drink. Josh. You know anybody by the name of Josh?
Plenty of people by the name of Josh.
Joshes are usually good people. Then the second step of cooking is to make sure your wine tastes good. So let's make sure.
That's why we never get anything cooked on time. I want y'all to see what time it is.
Whatever. No. All right, guys. So welcome back to our channel. So today's video we're going to do something a little different. We're actually going to be preparing a meal as we talk.
I think it's about time we talk about long distance relationships and being long distance apart within marriages. You know, you're going to go through trials and tribulations, but we've done it 2, 3 times?
Twice.
2 times. We've done it, you know, plenty of times. I think all together within our marriage, it'll probably add up to about 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Collectively, so.
That's true.
Got a little bit of experience with that, but we'll definitely let you know how we've gone through it and tell you the good, bad, and ugly.
Yes. And so it's going to be more of a conversation style video. We'll be talking as we cook. Yeah. We'll take breaks from cooking to kind of talk and.
Let's get cooking because I'm hungry.
Let's get cooking.
I'm gonna cut the potatoes up.
First step, adjust racks to middle and upper positions and preheat oven to 450 with paper. What you doing?
Cutting the
That ain't how you supposed to cut it. What you doing? How you cut it?
Why?
What you mean why? Are you
cut.
cooking it according to the directions, or are you just cutting?
If you look at this picture, they gotta be cut anyways, don't they?
Not like that. 1/2 inch thick wedges.
Okay. You got a ruler?
Once like that. Once. That way, because you want them to look like this.
Okay.
So while babe is cutting the potatoes, I'm going to range off this chicken. And pat it dry and season it. And we're going to clean it first. So.
Here, 2 weeks there.
Oh, smell the chicken.
Yeah, that's bad.
We're going to have to go with plan B, which is going to be drumroll.
Pizza. Doesn't happen often in marriage, but it's part of marriage. The smallest thing as it relates to cooking relates to the rest of your marriage as well, the rest of your relationship. You got to be able to adapt and overcome and get over things.
Yep.
Earlier in our marriage, this would have made Tiara mad because I put the chicken in the refrigerator for 4 days and didn't cook it.
It's not your fault. I'm not mad.
This is progression. This is progression.
Is it?
Yes. But yeah, so that's the plan, and then we'll talk to you a little bit further.
Yep.
So we started out cooking, and I made a mistake, which the chicken was not good. I left it in the refrigerator for too long. I should have put it in the freezer.
Oh, hey, It happens.
We gotta eat.
Still
So we
gotta
gonna eat. But this is part of marriage. We gotta adapt and overcome. Which brings us to what we're gonna talk about today, which is conquering long distance relationships. It's all about the little things and the small steps. And the first time we were on a long distance relationship was definitely the hardest. Preparation. We did not prepare for long distance, so we knew beforehand that I was going to do it. We made the decision collectively together. Even though we did not know what we're getting into, we didn't know what it was going to do, what trials, tribulations was going to bring to our marriage. We were like, all right, yeah, we've done 2 weeks before. What's a year? Let's go ahead and do it.
Hey, what was the toughest thing for you during deployment number 1 to deal with?
I think the biggest thing is like the time difference. I would literally be getting off work at a time where she was able to talk. So I would do a whole 12-hour shift overnight, and then it'll be early morning time for me when I came out, but it'd be afternoon for her. So she'd be off work, ready to have a conversation, and I'd just be tired, ready to go to sleep. So weekends were best for us. So how did it affect you?
Finding that time to where we could sit down and just talk to each other. I was living with my parents at the time. I had moved back to Cincinnati for a year because I found a job up there. I had just graduated college right before he went on deployment. And so we were living in, currently was in Florida, and I had been looking for jobs, and I could not find anything. So I looked in Cincinnati, found something just like that. So I moved back and lived with my parents during that time, pulling myself away from family and friends and different things that I had going on. You know, Cincinnati's a bigger city, so there's more to do, so there was always something going on, and I'm the type of person, I like to go out and have fun and do different things, even, you know, during the week sometimes. So it was pulling back from that and finding time to just sit down and talk to my husband. So,
and understanding that everybody copes with things differently. So my coping method of my deployment, what got me through it, was working hard and then talking to her. Because I was literally over there with a bunch of people I did not know. We had a group of about 160 of us from all different walks of life. I didn't go over there with anybody that I knew. So in a sense, it felt like I was alone. I made friends, but initially getting there, you know, I'm not a big guy that trusts people fast. So talking to people about my life and stuff like that is very difficult for me. But I think like knowing a schedule and talking beforehand about what are your expectations before you do it. If you have that luxury before you do it, make sure that you make that plan. Understand that things change and have room for that change, but have a structure to where, all right, so if we can't talk, if we're a couple that we need to talk every day, well, let's make time every day to do that. So you have to figure out in your relationship what works best for you. And if it doesn't work best for you, but it works best for her or works best for him, you got to be able to compromise or else you're going to lose each other. Initially, I put too many rules on her. So you're going out again, you're spending money again, you're doing this again. When we're not together, that was a way for her to not live in the I miss my husband, but go to these are things that I can do that will allow me to not think about it all the time, right?
Yeah, my coping mechanism was staying busy, constantly doing something, whether it's hanging out with friends, whether it's shopping, whether it's going to this networking event, going to this meet and greet, whatever it may be. That was the way that felt comfortable for me to cope with not having him there, was to keep myself busy, which in turn kept my mind busy.
I got into working out, and a military member by the name of Young, shout out to Young, Ratcliffe, a couple of the guys that I was overseas with, we were consistent in working out, and they kept me consistent in working out to where it was during that time I wasn't thinking about, oh, how much I miss my wife, or I want to see my wife. It was, all right, I got a goal. I got to do this, or I got to do that, or we're going to meet this, or we're going to meet a 500 or 1,000 club, 1,000-pounder club.
Let me tell y'all, Babe was over there pumping that iron. Because when I seen Babe for that first time, woo! It's like so anyway, moving to our second deployment. So this was our second time being apart, and again, it was for a year.
Yep.
But this time, instead of it being overseas, so him being totally out of the continental United States, he was in Chicago while I was in South Dakota.
Yep.
We were kind of new to the area, and DeJuan was told he's going to Chicago.
Yeah, so it was a career move for me, and it was a financial move. So backstory to this, I get off deployment and my wife's like, hey, got a job, or I got a great opportunity. We're going to Orlando and I'm going to be able to be an administrator. So I was like, okay, Florida certification. I'll just move down to Orlando, keep that going. A couple weeks prior, or a month, it was, Orlando's not going to be able to
move anyway.
Yeah, Orlando's got canceled, so they're sending us to South Dakota. And I was like,
woo!
What state is that in? It was a drastic decision. It was a big compromise, at least for me, because I had to quit my job and then come to a location to where I didn't know anybody. I didn't have any connections. I built so many connections down south to come to a place where it's like you starting fresh.
Mm-hmm. So I know on that is that's kind of how our life has been thus far since we've been married. We don't make concrete plans because God always has another plan in store for us. Yeah. So we're like, okay, we can, we ain't gonna write a whole paper on our plan. We just gonna do, we're
gonna do an outline.
We're gonna do an outline.
Yeah, rough draft.
A rough draft
and
outline, and kind of be able to maneuver things about. Because we already know God's gonna step in and be like, nope, just scratch that whole paper, because I got this whole essay over here done for you.
Yeah. So we moved here, and I got an opportunity to go to Chicago to continue on with my law enforcement track. Mm-hmm. And this time we talked about it. This time we made a plan as to what we were going to do, set aside a budget on how much it's going to cost to travel. We did all that and prepared, because the first time we made mistakes that we said we were not going to make the second time. So it made this time a lot easier. I saw her probably about once a month, if not once every other month.
Once or twice a month.
I would literally drive 13 and a half hours one way to come see her, and then 13 and a half hours to go back. So I was spending a day on the road just to come see her for about 2 or 3 days, which was worth it.
It was worth it.
But she made me lose my train of thought. She always does that when she... So the second time, we learned from our previous mistakes. Not to say that we didn't make mistakes the second time, but we were prepared to know that, we're going to have to go through some things if we're going to do this. Mm-hmm. Go in it with the mindset of, we are going to get over these.
Yep.
There's nothing drastic enough that's going to change the course of our marriage, because we agreed that we're going to do this for our marriage. So we went into this one with a mission and a plan on, all right, we're going to hit debt with how much you make. We're going to go ahead and knock down some debt. You're going to get experience working out in Chicago and Great Lakes. You're going to get experience that's going to take you to a different location. So I would say prepare for your trials during long distance. Make a solid plan, and have a goal. Have something that you can look in the mirror and say, this is what I'm doing this for. Because if you don't, you are going to go into some sort of depression, or your marriage is gonna fail. If you don't have a goal and you guys don't equally come together and say, this is what we're gonna do.
The biggest thing with that was communication.
Yeah.
This time going in, we knew, okay, this is how many times I want to talk to you. Yeah. This is what time of day I want to talk to you. Yeah. We use more FaceTime, chatting, and the communication was so much better this time. First time it was kind of like hit and miss. It was kind of like, I want to talk to you at this time, but I want to talk to you at this time, and I'm going to do this. Whereas the second time it was like, okay, our communication is a priority.
Yeah, and it doesn't take the fact, we're not saying that it takes the fact that you're going to miss your spouse, you're going to miss your significant other. A video chat, a phone call does not take the place of having your significant other right next to you, sleeping in the same bed with you, sitting down watching TV together. But you'll note those things and you'll appreciate those things when you come back. I appreciate sitting on the couch and watching TV because I know how it feels to not be able to do that. I appreciate sleeping in the same bed because I know how it feels. I appreciate it when we clean together or when we try to cook together because I know how it feels to not have her here to be able to do that.
Yes.
You also got to focus on your individual self as well. I became a better cook. I cleaned better. I prioritized things better. I pretty much had to learn how to live by myself, which made our relationship a lot stronger. Because when she didn't feel like cooking, it was like, oh yeah, I've been cooking for a year. I can do that. Yeah. Certain things that I learned that actually strengthened us. And same thing with her. Certain things that she had to do that I didn't do anymore.
I learned how to take the trash out, y'all. I was not accustomed to that. So
heating the car up for herself.
Yeah, taking the dog out. I just learned a lot about that. So no, but on a serious note, just those things where like usually I would ask my husband, and it's small things like, babe, can you get this jar open for me, or babe, something's broken, can you fix it for me? And it's like I got to do it myself. So
all the heavy lifting she had to do by herself because I wasn't here.
Yeah. Talk just a smidget about the transition and moving back together. Coming back together.
That's hard. I'll just put it that way. That's hard too because you get accustomed for a whole year of doing things by yourself to coming back and it's like, well, I do things this way and I do things this way. I think for me, I'm a very organized person. So I put things in specific places so that I know where they are. She does it her own way. So when she put things in places that I would normally put it, it was like, what in the world is going on?
He was living in his own apartment in Chicago. He was not living in base housing or anything like that. And I had been living in a 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment here in South Dakota. And in the middle of his deployment, his active duty time, we moved me into a 1-bedroom, 1-bath apartment, which we made that decision in order to save money. So I had condensed all of my items to a 1-bedroom, 1-bath apartment, and here he comes at the end of his deployment with all his stuff.
And we had to condense more.
Tell him about the closet when you came back and.
I knew that the closet wasn't gonna work because she had things all over the closet, and then I had this little space to put my clothes, and I'm like, I got shoes, I got clothes.
Y'all, when I tell you it was so hard to make room for his stuff, I went through my stuff twice. To condense it, and still, it was tough, but it was things like that. Things like the organization, where we keep things, our daily routine. To
the simplest things is what we watch on TV too. I was used to watching whatever I wanted to watch. Sports, NBA. Oh man, I was watching that. My shows on Hulu, my shows on Netflix. I was able to watch it anytime I wanted to. To come here, and I'm watching all these chick flicks, and I'm like, where's the action at?
You ain't like them, babe.
Bruh, when I tell you, we're not gonna go there. I grew to like them because I compromised. But
I think we both did though, because you know how I feel about the action, killy, boom, boom, pow, shoot 'em up movies, and I still watch them with you.
Yes, she does.
Anyway,
she did have to compromise with that too. So
yeah, we both definitely.
That is the biggest thing. It's just being able to compromise. The simplest stuff is who's gonna clean what. And what's gonna go where? Why is your socks on the ground? Well, why you got shoes everywhere? You know what I mean? Just things that I was used to in my own apartment that I had to come back, and it was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, that routine. Just getting used to each other's routine.
And it takes some time.
And getting used to each other's little different habits and things like that. But we got through it.
And we're able to look back and laugh at it.
Yep.
And now, I mean, everything's back to normal.
Yep. It's like we've just always been living here together.
Yeah. Through long distance, you will get to the low points in long distance. We've been to low points. We've been to points where we didn't talk to each other, where we felt our relationship could not move on because we were arguing so much. And what that boils down to is we're not meant to be apart. Me and my wife, we're biblical, and the Bible states that we come together as one. We leave our parents and we come together as one. So we believe that, it's not really meant for us to be apart, and that's when the enemy can come in and try to tear us apart, which he did on several occasions, where we were like, I don't even want to talk to you. We go, 5, 6 days? What's the longest? About 2 weeks we went without talking? And even when you come back from that, being long distance and getting over fights in long distance, you still have that I miss you, that void that you can't feel. So prepare for that. It will be there. The only way to get over that is to come back. Learn from your mistakes. Don't be scared of long distance. Just prepare for it.
That's right. Have those difficult talks.
Yeah.
What do you each expect, and what is your goal? Yeah. Why are you even doing this in the first place? Why are you going on this, allowing your spouse to be away from you for a whole year? You have to have goals going into it, and you have to be in communication the whole time.
Support system is very, very encouraged. We've got friends that would go to bat for us. Shout out to all our friends, our couples. We've got friends that we were able to talk to throughout our long distance in order to help us get through with our trials and tribulations, to tell me that, hey, bro, you wrong on this one. Okay, well, then I'll have to go apologize, or her the same way, you tripping. So make those bonds, build your support system. But that's how we got over long distance. And I know if we can do it, anybody can do it.
Anybody can do it.
You just got to be willing and able to take the step. It's one foot after the other together.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for tuning in to another video on our channel talking about long distance relationships and struggles and how to get through it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that little subscribe button. I think it's over here actually. The little subscribe button.
Yeah.
But anyway, hit that before you leave, and thank you so much again for coming to our channel.
Thank you.
And this is
Dewan.
And I'm Tiara.
And we are
The Palmers.